Hey there, Roothaven grounds family. Let me tell you about the season I almost gave up on growing pumpkins. I'd followed all the basic advice, planted my seeds at the right time, watered religiously, and still ended up with a measly 3 pumpkins from 6 plants. I was frustrated, confused, and ready to stick to tomatoes. But then I discovered what I was missing, and the following year, those same 6 plants gave me over 40 beautiful pumpkins. What changed? Everything I'm about to share with you today. Here's the truth. Most gardening videos won't tell you pumpkins are absolute gluttons. They're the most demanding dinner guests in your garden, and if you don't set the table properly, they'll sulk and refuse to perform. Before you even think about planting seeds, you need to build what I call a pumpkin palace in your soil. Start by digging your planting area at least 18 inches deep. I know that sounds like a workout, and honestly, it is. But pumpkins develop massive root systems that need room to stretch out and hunt for nutrients. Mix in aged compost until you've got a ratio of about 50% native soil to 50% compost. This isn't optional if you want those high yields. But here's the game changer that transformed my pumpkin growing. Add a shovelful of well-rotted manure to each planting mound. Cow manure, horse manure, or even composted chicken manure will work wonders. The nitrogen content fuels that explosive vine growth you need, while the organic matter improves soil structure and water retention. I create mounds about 12 inches high and 3 feet wide, which gives the roots that elevated, well-drained environment they crave while keeping the nutrient concentration right where the plant needs it most. Walk into any garden center and they'll tell you to space pumpkins 3 to 5 feet apart. And you know what? That advice will get you average results. But we're not here for average, are we? For truly prolific pumpkin production, you need to give each plant at least 6 to 8 feet of space in all directions. Yes, I'm serious. When I finally committed to this spacing, everything changed. Pumpkin vines can stretch 15 to 20 feet in a single season, and when they're competing for space, they put their energy into vine growth rather than fruit production. It's like watching siblings fight over toys. Nobody wins. I've experimented extensively in my own garden beds here at Roothaven grounds, and honestly, the numbers don't lie. Plants with generous spacing consistently produce double or even triple the fruit of crowded plants. They also show better disease resistance because air circulation improves dramatically, reducing the moisture that fungal diseases really love. Pumpkins need water, but, they're surprisingly picky about how they get it. Too little and your fruits will be small and bitter. Too much and you'll invite rot and disease. You need to find that sweet spot, and I'm going to show you exactly how. During the early growth phase, pumpkins need consistent moisture to establish those vigorous vines. I water deeply twice a week, making sure the soil stays moist about 4 to 6 inches down. But here's the critical part. Always water at the base of the plant, never from overhead. Wet leaves are an invitation for powdery mildew, and once that sets in, your pumpkin dreams are pretty much over. Once flowers appear and fruits start forming, this is where things get interesting. Increase your watering to 3 times per week, and if you're dealing with hot weather, you might need to go to every other day. Each plant can easily consume 2 to 3 gallons per watering session during peak production. I use a soaker hose system that delivers water slowly and directly to the root zone, which has honestly been an absolute game changer for my yields. But here's a trick that veteran growers use. About 2 weeks before you expect to harvest, cut back watering significantly. This stress signals the plant to concentrate sugars in the fruit, giving you sweeter, better flavored pumpkins with thicker, more durable skin that stores longer. This is where most gardeners lose the yield battle without even realizing it. Pumpkins produce separate male and female flowers, and if pollination doesn't happen efficiently, you'll see tiny fruits that yellow and drop off. I've watched it happen in my own garden during years when bee populations were low, and it's honestly heartbreaking. Male flowers appear first and in greater numbers. They have thin stems and exist purely to produce pollen. Female flowers come a bit later and have a tiny pumpkin-shaped swelling at the base. In a perfect world, bees would handle all your pollination needs. But we don't live in a perfect world, so I hand pollinate. And you should too. Early morning is prime time, right after the flowers open. I pick a male flower, remove the petals to expose the pollen-covered stamen, and gently brush it against the stigma inside the female flower. I do this with multiple male flowers on each female to ensure good pollination. This simple 5-minute morning ritual has increased my fruit set by at least 60% compared to relying on natural pollination alone. Remember how I said pumpkins are gluttons? Well, feeding them properly is non-negotiable for maximum production. I use a 2-phase fertilization approach that mirrors the plant's growth stages. During the vine growth phase, I apply a balanced fertilizer with equal parts nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium every 2 weeks. This supports that vigorous vegetative growth. But once flowering begins, I switch to a fertilizer higher in phosphorus and potassium and lower in nitrogen. Too much nitrogen after flowering starts will give you gorgeous vines, but disappointing fruit production. I've had excellent results with fish emulsion and kelp-based fertilizers, which provide not just the major nutrients, but also trace minerals that improve overall plant health. Side dress your plants with compost every 3 to 4 weeks throughout the growing season, pulling back the mulch, spreading a 2-inch layer around the drip line, and covering it back up. This might be controversial, but selective pruning has dramatically increased my pumpkin numbers. I'm not talking about aggressive cutting, but strategic intervention that redirects the plant's energy where you want it. Once your main vines reach about 10 feet long, pinch off the growing tips. This forces the plant to put energy into side shoots and fruit production rather than endless vine growth. I also remove any obviously diseased or damaged leaves as soon as I spot them, which prevents problems from spreading and improves air circulation. Here's the big decision. If you want maximum numbers of medium-sized pumpkins, don't limit fruit development. But if you want fewer, larger pumpkins, thin your fruits when they're softball-sized, leaving just 2 to 3 per vine. I typically go for numbers rather than size because I find there's more demand for manageable pumpkins, and frankly, the satisfaction of harvesting 40 pumpkins beats harvesting 10 enormous ones any day. Growing abundant pumpkins isn't about luck or magic. It's about understanding what these plants truly need and being willing to put in the work up front. Rich soil, generous spacing, strategic watering, assisted pollination, consistent feeding, and thoughtful pruning. These 6 elements working together create the conditions for explosive pumpkin production. I've shared what transformed my pumpkin, growing from frustrating to phenomenal, and I know these strategies will work in your garden too, because they're based on the plant's actual biology, not wishful thinking. If you found this helpful, do me a favor and subscribe to Roothaven Grounds so you don't miss future growing guides. Share this with a fellow gardener who's struggling with their pumpkin patch. Let's build a community of growers who actually get results. Drop a comment telling me how many pumpkins you're hoping to harvest this season, and let's make it happen together.